inspired generations of archaeologists through his work. K.K. Mohammed ji served as the Regional Director North of Archaeological Survey of India, also known as ASI, during his service. He played a key role in identification, excavation, documentation, and conservation of several historical sites across the country. He is most widely known for his extraordinary work at Bateshwar Temple Complex in Madhya Pradesh, a forgotten temple complex of more than 200 Shiva temples dating back to Gurjara Pratihara period. At a time when this site was under the occupation of extremist groups and had been reduced to rubble, K.K. Mohammed ji took up the challenge of revival. Through his personal courage, dialogue, and persistence, he brought Bateshwar back to life. Today, it stands as a powerful example of how archaeology is not just about the past, but also about the cultural reclamation and national confidence. He has also been a key archaeological witness in Ayodhya Ram Janmabhoomi case, with his observations and findings from ASI excavations provided important clarity on the historical presence of temple beneath the disputed structure, and his testimony has been widely acknowledged for his professional integrity and honesty. Apart from these landmark contributions, he had worked on numerous sites of national importance, collaborated with international scholars, and consistently advocated for heritage conservation that is rooted in truth, courage, and civilizational pride. For his outstanding service to archaeology and his commitment to India's cultural legacy, he was honored with Padma Shri, one of India's highest civilian awards. Today, we're deeply fortunate to have him with us, not merely as a scholar, but as someone who has personally witnessed, protected, and revived some of India's most important chapters. With great respect and warmth, I now invite Padma Shri K.K. Mohammed sir to address us and share his experiences on the archaeological stories of Bateshwar and Ram Janmabhoomi. Thank you so much.
Can I start?
Yes, sir.
Sure, sir,
Yes.
sure.
So, thank you very much, Sagarika ji, Partho, Chinmaya, Ishan, and young friends of Indic Compass. I'm thankful to you for inviting me at the inaugural session of this lecture series. And I'm happy to know that you have taken up a very important task, creating curiosity and paving the way for the conservation of the monuments and other historical structures. I think I'm meeting for the first time an organization of this kind from the younger group of people. I think most of you are either undergraduates or postgraduates. So you have a very good team of active, alert, ambitious, vigorous, courageous group of people. And I think with this kind of leadership, thoughtful leadership, and active supporting base, I think you will make your way. And I wish you all the success in the progress of this great organization.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. We are truly grateful for this.
Thank you. So, what I'm going to speak to you today is on two subjects. One is the excavation of Ayodhya under Professor B.P. Lal. And the second one is a very challenging task, that is the conservation of the monuments of Bateshwar with the help of the Chambal dacoits. It was in 1976-77, I had gone to Ayodhya under Professor B.P. Lal. I was in the School of Archaeology at that time. At that time, it was not a very controversial subject. Of course, it was controversial, and we had to fight for it almost for 500 years. But still, it was not that kind of controversial at that time. We all know that Ayodhya was believed to be the birthplace of Lord Ram. And Rama is Maryada Purusha. He is the Purushottam. That is why even his enemies admired him. Maricha, who was the uncle of Ravan, he said in Aranyakanda, Ramo Vigrahavan Dharma. He is the personification of Dharma. Sadhu Satya Parakrama. He is the personification of Dharma. Because it elicited unstintable admiration from his own enemies. That is why we still go to Ayodhya, because this is the place of that Maryada Purusha. We go to the place, we go and see the whole area. Darshanam Janma Bhumescha. Smaranam Namata. We recite his name also, and going to the birthplace of Lord Rama, that is Punya. Manjanam Sarayu Tire, to have a dip, holy dip in Sarayu, which is the river. Kradave Papanashanam, because that will absolve you of all the papas. So that is believed. So we went to the site under Professor B. Bilal. He was the director. Earlier, he was the Director General of Archaeological Survey of India also. And then at the young age of 55, he resigned his job. He went back to a university to teach, because that was a great post at that time. The great Director General of Archaeological Survey of India was a dream post, but he resigned it. And resigning in those days in 1972 from such a big post, that was something very unusual. Some very courageous people could do it at that time. So whenever we go to a site for excavation, we first of all do go for an exploration, so that you can contextualize your own excavation. So I also went for the exploration of the site. So as you know, since it was controversial, there was one police person at this one out and near the inner courtyard. So when we tried to go inside, he stopped us. He said that the court case is going on. You cannot go inside. So we just reasoned with him. We said we have nothing to do with the court cases and other things. We are just explorers and excavators. If you permit, we'll go inside. We'll just see the whole thing. So he allowed us inside. When we went inside, I saw that all the pillars on which the mosque was standing. The mosque was standing at that time. That was on temple pillars. So obviously you will ask, why do we call it temple pillars? Pillars are pillars. Why do you want to say these are temple pillars or mosque pillars? Because you are all students of art and architecture, and you know it very well, that precisely if you are in archaeology, you would be able to understand if there is a pillar, or if it is certain, if it is icons, whether it is Shiva, Vishnu, Brahma, or whatever it is. On the basis of the iconography, we will be able to say. Similarly, if there are structural parts also, which we call architectural members, we would be able to say whether it is part of the temple, whether it is part of the mosque, whether it is part of the Christian churches or secular building. It's very easy. And sometimes you would be able to date it also tentatively. For example, if you show me a pillar of Akbar's time, I would be able to distinguish it, whether it is of Akbar's period, or it is of Jahangir's period, or it is of Shah Jahan's period, or it is Aurangzeb's period. But you have to have that knowledge. So when we went inside, the pillars on which the mosque was standing, that was, of course, on temple pillars. And Purna Kalasha was carved on that one. What is Purna Kalasha? We all know that it is a symbol of prosperity in Hinduism. Purnakamba is it is one of the Ashtamangala Chinnas, one of the 8 auspicious symbol in Hinduism. Even now, if a great holy sage goes to a place, you cannot garland him by giving a shawl. You cannot receive him by giving a shawl. You cannot receive him by garlanding him. But you have to receive him by giving a Purna Kalsha. So this Purna Kalsha was engraved on all of them. And then, because that is a typical feature of a Hindu temple architecture, go to any of the places, Ajanta, Ellora, because all these places are very close to you. Because since you are located in Pune. So on all of them, at the base part, there will be Purna Kalsha. And then there were certain sculptures of Hindu deities, which of course was, at a later period, they tried to make, disfigure it, but that was all obviously there. So on the basis of all these things that we came to the conclusion that previously these temple parts were reused for re-erecting the mosque. Then when Professor B.B. Lal excavated the whole place, he could get the base part on which these temples were standing. So that was the second evidence. The first one was in situ that was standing, that is the temple pillars. And then secondly, we got the temple with the bases on which the pillars were standing. And then a number of terracotta idols associated with Hinduism. So this was also excavated. Now just think of it. Had it been a mosque, you would never have got this kind of terracotta idols, or you would never have this kind of figures also. In a mosque, you cannot have any kind of sculpture, you cannot have any kind of figure. And it was not an important issue at that time, because we just wanted to see, Professor B.B. Lal just wanted to see what is the cultural sequence of Ayodhya. Because earlier he had excavated Hastinapura, and then he had come to the conclusion on the basis of before that, we all thought that Mahabharata is also a cock and bull story. There is no historicity in that one. So it was for the first time he had excavated Hastinapura, and not only Hastinapura, and some of the important places associated with Mahabharata were like Tilpat, Bagpat, Sonpat, and all these places he had excavated. And at the lowest place, at the lowest sequence, he got a pottery known as PGW, that is painted graveware. You all know it about it. And then he associated the Hastinapura with a flood about which there was a reference in Vayupurana. Gangeya apakrade nagaram nagaswakre Tuktar Nijachur Nagaram Kaushambeyam Sanivatsayate. So it was because, when the fifth generation was, when the eighth generation was ruling in Hastinapura, a great flood occurred, then everything was washed out. So that is the reference. So with that one, he connected. So we'll come to that period. So just before that one. So whenever we talk about Hinduism, of course, Hinduism had its own birth in the earlier part, that is in the Punjab, Kabul area. So if you go through this one, our Rig Veda, we can find River Sukta. That is in River Sukta 8, this one, it says, Nadi Sukta, it says, Imam me Gange Yamune Saraswati Shutudri Somam Sajada Parushnaya Asiknye Marubrade. It speaks about the 7 holy rivers of India. So Ganga and Yamuna is at the lowest part, which means it starts from Kuba, Satluj, and all those rivers. So it speaks about the earlier area. I will tell you when to change it. You can go back. So this particular slide speaks about that, early settlement of these people, Aryan people. That was, it starts from Kabul onwards, and then you have the Punjab area, and then the upper part of Ganga Yamuna River. So, and the second phase of this one, the Aryan settlement was, of course, in between Ganga and Yamuna. So that is the most important part. And the part between Ganga and Yamuna, that is known as a very holy land. It is also known as Brahmavarta. It is also known as Brahmadesha, because most of the important development of Hinduism had taken place in between Ganga, Yamuna, Hastinapura, and all these places. So that was the place where Yamashinavam Madam Vishnu Yasyam Vichakrame Indrayom Chakratmane Namitram Shachipadi. Let us go to that particular land where Lord Vishnu has shown his Parakrama, where Indra had shown his Parakrama. So that is in between Ganga, Yamuna, and other rivers. That is the present day UP, Haryana, and part of Punjab also. And it was also considered as a place, that is the area between Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati. That is again known as a Brahmavarta or Brahmadesha. And it is said that Tvam Deva Nirmidam Desham Brahmavartam Prajakshate. So it was known as that a land it was made by Brahmas, Devas. So that was the kind of land. But now, during the Mahabharata period, there was a huge war. And we all thought, this is part of Aitihya. This is only Itihasa. There is no truth in all those things. So Professor B.B. Lal, he wanted to confirm whether there is any historical truth, what archaeology says about Mahabharata. So he started excavating the places that are mentioned in Mahabharata. So the most important place was, of course, Hastinapura. Hastinapura was the capital. So when he excavated, next please, next slide. So this is the painted gray ware area. So you can see you have all the Hastinapura is there, Ahitshatra is there, then Jakeda is there, Kampil is there. Kampil is the place where from Draupadi hailed. And Kaushambi, of course, Kaushambi, you have got a degenerated variety of this one PGW. And then there were 5 places in order to avert the battle between Pandavas and Kauravas. Krishna became an intermediary and he said, at least you give 5 villages to this one Pandavas. And those 5 villages were nearby in this one, Delhi. So Panipat is there, Tilpat, Bagpat, Sonipat, and these were the places. So when he excavated on all these places, he got a pottery known as PGW, painted grey ware. And it was at the lowest level. So he had this one his own theory, because during the Aryan migration from Punjab area, the second stop was this Hastinapura and other areas. So there he got this pottery also. So he thought that it could be, in the local parlance, we can call it Mahabharata pottery. And then how to associate it with our this one text. So for that, in Vayupurana, there was a reference about a great flood that had occurred in Hastinapura. So this one is when the 8th generation from Parikshit. Because after the battle, of course, Pandavas became victorious. And then it is said, you have fought the battle and now you can rule over the country. So each one of them refused to accept it, because we had to fight for it by killing our own kith and kin. So we don't want. Each one said, no, I don't want. But you are a Kshatriya, your duty is, of course, to rule the country. So who would be the person who would be the king? So the king would be the youngest of them. Who was the youngest? It was Parishit. Parishit was the son of Abhimanyu. We all know Abhimanyu's story. He was the youngest. So Parishit became the king. So the reference in Vayu was when the 8th generation from Parishit was ruling, there was a flood which occurred in Hastinapura, and everything in this one Ganges, everything was washed out, and then people migrated to Kaushambi. So when he excavated it, when it reached the 8th generation, he got that flood line. So he could convince, he could connect that Vayu reference with this flood, in which, which because, he could trace out that part of that, this one flood in the excavated layers. So that was the most critical point. And then, so he dated it to 1200 BC. Of course, on the basis of the calibration, we can further take it back to 1300 or 1400 BC. That was the approximate Mahabharata period, because this one carbon dating and other thing was not that much developed at that. It was of course developed, and it was carbon dated also at a later time, but it was not very much developed at that time. So it is roughly around, although his dating was to 900 to 1000 BC for Mahabharata, later on he himself admitted it can go back to 1300 1400 BC. So that is roughly the period of Mahabharata. So if the period of Mahabharata is roughly 1300 or 1400, Ramayana should be earlier. So after some times, when he resigned from this one Archaeological Survey of India, he wanted to take up the excavations at Ayodhya also, just to see the cultural sequence. So it was part of that we were and joined them. Next, please. So here you can see, Hastinapura is the most important place. Ahichatra was a sub-capital. Kampil down below, that was the place from this one, Draupadi hailed. And then all the Panipat, Sonpat, Indrapat, Indrapat. Indrapat, of course, is in Delhi. So that was also excavated. And then Mathura. Next, please. Next. So this is, of course, Mahajanata Janapada period. We don't go to, this is just for as a slide I have included. Next, please. So this was the mount. It was on the right side of the Ganges. Down below, you can see the pottery yard. And there is a tent also, because we all used to live in tents in those days. Even now, if you go to some of the remote areas, as an archaeologist, you live in tents, because that gives you, because you have to do a lot of physical work. If you want to be an archaeologist, you have to be a sportsman, you have to do a lot of physical work also. And whatever pottery you are getting, so from the top, you will be excavating it. And at the lowest part, he got this particular pottery known as PGW, that is painted graveware. And as you all know, Hastinapura was the capital. So that is why Hastinapura was taken up. And this mound was a huge mound also. It was almost 1 kilometer huge mound. So you have to go down. Next, please. So here you can see that the excavated area, that only a part of the top part of the place was excavated, because the highest part will be always harboring the richest material. So whenever we go to a place, we take up the excavation at the highest point. And if you want to get the cultural sequence, some, slopy areas also will be taken up. So this is a kind of excavation methodology which we follow. Next, please. So this you can see a typical pottery which was not seen till that time. Above this one, you have NBP, that is Northern Black Polished Ware. Northern black polished ware earlier dating was up to 8th century, 800 BCE, but now it has been further pushed back to 1200 BCE. And below this one was PGW, that means roughly, it would be roughly 1400 BC. So that was the kind of dating, but at that time, the dating was only 900, sometimes, 1000, 1200 BCE. So it was now because, and then he got this pottery in all the places which were mentioned in Mahabharata. So that means this was the earliest pottery which was mentioned in this one. I mean, at the earliest layer, at the lowest level. So this was the place where Aryans had come and occupied, or Hinduism had come and occupied. Because sometimes there will be some objection when you call it Aryans. Next, please. And this was further excavated from all the places, like from Indrapat also it was excavated. Indrapat means the present Puranakila, roughly around the present Puranakila area. Then Tilpat, Bagpat, Sonpat, all of these places are roughly within 30 kilometers of Delhi and the surrounding places. Next, please. So here you can see where the person is standing, a flood line is there. So it was this flood line which he connected, because that is the most crucial point in archaeology. If you look at that, this one, our own Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. Harappa and Mohenjo-daro was earlier, it was the area had located in 1821 by a person known as Charles Mason. But he did not realize the importance of it. And then it was, of course, then visited by Alexander Cunningham. Alexander Cunningham was a very big archaeologist. He visited the area and he got 2-3 seals also. He could not read the seals at that time, although he knew Brahmi, because Brahmi was excavated. Brahmi was read in 1837, and he was also instrumental along with this one, James Prinsep. He could not understand what is written on this one, seals of Harappa. But then it was in 1921, almost roughly after 97 years, John Marshall, when he excavated Mohenjo-daro, because when from Mohenjo-daro also he got the same kind of cultural sequence. And then he wrote a letter, an article in Illustrated London, that we are getting such and thanks from these seals and sealings from here. And the excavation, the results of the excavation at 2 different places, that is Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, almost 400 kilometers away. They are the same thing. And we are getting this kind of seals and sealings from here. Can anybody show any kind of, throw any kind of this one, light on this one? So at that time, the people working in Mesopotamian sites like Kish and other things, they said that exactly the same kind of seals we have got at a depth of 2400 BC. That was the Eureka moment of Indian archaeology, really. Till that time, we thought that in our heritage goes only back to 600 BC. That is roughly around the period of Buddha. And we did not know that if Buddha was an Indian, because most of the people thought Buddha is an African or he is an Ethiopian, because in most of the sculptures, he had that spiral hairs were there. So this is the real Eureka moments of history. And Professor Lal could connect that Vayurana reference, with this one. So he made an important discovery, and it was on the basis of this important discovery. Further, he just thought of about Ayodhya also. And I was lucky to be part of that group. Next, please. So, why Mahabharata is known as a great war? Ramayana was not that great war, but Mahabharata was a great war, because it was at the interjunction of the discovery of or developing a new tool that is known as iron, what we call it, iron or iron. Till that time, India was, all other cultures was in Bronze Age. So bronze has got its own limitation. It is, it's not such a hard material. But once you have a very hard material, that is this iron in your hand, then whosoever has got the biggest deposit of iron, he can become the biggest king, because he has got a tool which others are not having. That is why the Sudarshan Chakra of Lord Vishnu, that becomes very fatal. And that is why the first important, then the most important Janapadas are coming up in different places where you have got great deposit, iron deposit, like Rajgir. Magad became this capital. So here, they have got an important tool now. An important loha is there. An important metal is there. So whosoever has got the biggest deposit of this thing, that is the weaponry in their hand, they can conquer the whole land. Next, please. So you have got a number of pieces from there. Next, please. So this, of course, this is Ahichatra. Next, please. Next. In Ahichatra, we have got a number of sculptures. And then, next, please, sir. Niche. And then very recently, some 6-7 years back, Dr. Vasant, he excavated Purana Kila. I just wanted to excavate it, just to because I had sought the permission of Professor B.B. Lal also. We just wanted to know the cultural sequence, because earlier he had excavated and he got few pieces of PGW, but we wanted to have a bigger excavation, so I was trying to excavate it. But I was stopped from excavating it by a communist group of people from Aligarh Muslim University. Unfortunately, they were in the Kaaba meeting. They were also there. Group was there. So they thought, because if KK Muhammed excavates, because I was running a battle with those people, and it would be, because their theories will not be having its own grounding. So they did not permit me. But later on, my deputy was Dr. Vasant. Later on, he became the director of excavation also. And he was the superintending archaeologist of Delhi also. Earlier, he was working under me. So when he excavated, he also got a number of pieces of PGW from Purana Kila. But they were not of very good quality. Because, sometimes even in excavation also, you have to be, you have to excavate at different places. Then only you will be getting. So widespread excavation should be taken up at various places. And sometimes luck will also favor, will have to favor you. Otherwise, sometimes, even though you are very close to some of the most important finding, you will be missing it. So, but somehow he got few pieces. And another most important excavation was by Dr. Sanjay Manjul. A very epoch-making excavation was carried out by him. Next, please. So it was, Dr. Dr. Vasam, who carried out the excavations at Purana Kila, and he got few pieces of PGW. Next, please. Next. This is about this one. We all know that there was an underground tunnel. That is, mythologically, there was an underground tunnel. Next, please. Through which Pandavas had excavated. So this is Sanjay Manjul. When he excavated, he got another very important discovery. And that discovery was, we all speak about Rathas in ancient India. But from the archaeological context, also there are a number of references about Rathas or chariots. You have to get it from the archaeological context. Dasharatha itself means, he was the owner of 10 rathas. And the story of Kaikei is another very important thing. And in all the battles, they had used this kind of rathas. But from the archaeological context, where is ratha? So there, the importance of, in 2018, it was excavated by Sanjay Manjul, and he got the archaeological evidence for that one. Next, please. And here you can see there is a skeleton on the top of it. And down below, there are a number of weapons are there. It's not only 1, 2, 3, a horde of weapons he could excavate. And the most important, please, the thing was the rathas. Next, please. Here you can see Dr. Sanjay Manjul is standing, and you can see in his front side, on his front, this one, that Radha chassis is there. And also, if you look at very closely, you can see the pole also. So the chassis is there, the pole is there, and it was a very meticulous excavation. Of course, the discovery itself is very, this one epoch making. And at the same time, if you have to have a meticulous excavator, you have to be very careful. So with the meticulous care and precision, Dr. Sanjay Manjul excavated, and he could discover this rathas. Now you might be asking, where are wheels of the ratha? Because rathas were made of wood, so wood would be decaying. But in the cover portion, it was covered by metals, so that metals survived, of course, in a very fragile condition. But now it has been exhibited also in National Museum. Next, please. Just look at the wheels of it. The excavation was so precise, so meticulous, so careful. That is why Dr. Sanjay Manjul could expose wheels also. And the wheels, it had, of course, the wooden part had completely decayed. And only with the metallic portion, it could survive. And he has been able to show the front wheel also, and also just behind that, the back wheel also. And the pole of that one, the chariot is also there. Next, please. This, he himself has made a painting. He is also a great painter also. Not only a very good excavator, but a good painter also. So he himself has made this painting. Next, please. Here also you can see both these things. The wheel is there just on your front, and the pole is on the other side. Next, please. Here also you can see the wheel of this one. A very beautiful excavation. Next, please. So this is the painting of Mahabharata, because Akbar, he was a great king, and while he wanted that Muslims and Hindus should come together, so for that, whatever is for coming together, they should know the culture of each group of people, and especially his nobilities. For that, he got translated Mahabharata and also Ramayana into Persian, and it was given as gift to various people. And it was translated into Persian. And along with this painting, there were brief descriptions also. So here you can see the Arjuna. He is, Arjuna is now, aiming at the fish. So that particular scene has been depicted here. Next, please. Here, that chopped game is also shown. And down below, after this one, they are going to Kailasha. So here you can see in the central part, the chopped game, because in which Kauravas had defeated Pandavas. That is shown. That is in a Persian way because in different clothes, they have been shown. And Draupadi's Vastrapaharana is also shown here down below. Draupadi is also on the left side, Draupadi is depicted, and the Vastrapaharana is also depicted. And again down below, now they are going to Kailasha. So the whole scene has been accumulated into one picture. It was made during the lifetime of Akbar himself. The painting was done mostly in Fatehpur Sikri. Next, please. So here you can see a closer look of this one, Chowpad game. And in the excavations and this one at Hastinapura, Professor Lal could get that the games man also. So that is again the most important point. See, is not only what you are getting from the excavation and how to connect it with the literature. That is the most important part. Next, please. Here you can see the games. So this gamesman, he connected with the historical references. That is the most important. That the connecting link. This is known as eureka moments in archaeology. Otherwise, if you are not able to connect it, if you are simply a gamesman, you will give a label, it is gamesman without any context. But if you want to have a context, have the literary references and connect with it. So that is what has been done. Next, please. And here we have got Professor S.R. Rao. So S.R. Rao was another very important historian and an archaeologist. He was, of course, earlier in Karnataka government, then he came to this one, Archaeological Survey of India. He explored for Dwaraka. We all know that Krishna, he had left Mathura and he had migrated to this one, Dwaraka. And Dwaraka, the capital was built. There are a lot of references about Mathura also. But when he explored for the thing on the land area, he could not get it. And underwater archaeology was not very much developed in India at that time. So what to do? Because that was another question. So underwater archaeology was, and at that time in other countries, it had developed also. So he got a group of people who could help him. And with the help of Indian Oceanographic Department, he set up in NIO, that is in Goa, National Oceanographic Department. He set up a department, and there they conducted certain explorations and excavations in underwater archaeology. And they were able to locate some of the most important places associated with this one, Dwaraka. Next, please. So this is Professor Alok Tripathi. He is an additional Director General of Archaeological Survey of India. He was one of the products of who had worked under Professor B.P. Lal, under Professor S.R. Rao, and Sheila Tripathi was there, and then Dr. Gaur was there. And I had my training in underwater archaeology. While Professor S.R. Rao was there in NIO, because I was briefly posted in Goa also. So that gave me an opportunity, but I could not work in Dwaraka. But these people, they worked in Dwaraka and they have been able to locate certain things which is associated with Dwaraka. So we have to be very clear, because in all our text, whatever it is said in the text, it is not necessary. As an archaeologist, you are not a religious person. You are an archaeologist. So you have to be very sure whether whatever is said in the text, whether it is exactly the same thing or not. Because in this one Mahabharata itself, it has got 3 different versions. The first version, that is known as Jaya, that had 8,800 verses. Then it became 2,400 verses. And presently, the Mahabharata has got 1 lakh verses, which means you should admit, a religious person may not admit, that, of course, additions and alterations were there. So the initial one was 8,800 verses when it was known as Jaya. And then when it became 2,400 verses, it became Bharat. And then it became Mahabharata now with 1 lakh verses. And there will be certain descriptions also. Sometimes, there were 18 Akshauhinis. 18 Akshauhini means the foot soldiers should be more than 1 lakh. And then 24,000, elephants should be there in one Akshauhini. Then 24,000, this one chariot should be there in one Akshauhini. And then you have got 65,000 horses. All these are exaggerations. As an archaeologist, as a religious person, it's fine. You can believe. But as an archaeologist, it is impossible at that time. So we'll have to oriental hyperboles and exaggeration. That will we have to remove them, all those things. And then say, there was a kernel of truth in all these things. But it is at the same time, whatever is said, because, if there is a huge description about Ayodhya and if there is a huge description about Mahabharata, Hastinapura, it's not necessary that it should be correct, because, we have to see the period also, because we believe in human evolution as archaeologists. So you have to discount so many things from the present day Mahabharata and Ramayana. When they speak about 18 Akshauhinis, they were there, it is impossible. When they give a huge description about the city, like the modern city of Bombay or the, you have to say, no, these are all exaggeration. But at the same time, sometimes, the historians will say, though, these are cock and bull stories. But as an archaeologist, you have to see whether there is a kernel of truth. So in all these excavations at Ayodhya and at this one, Hastinapura, what archaeologists could substantiate it was that there was a kernel of truth in these things. And that's all. But he will not support the exaggerations. Next, please. So here you can see that they are exploring this one area. Next, please. And here they got a number of seals. And these seals, of course, these seals were from Mesopotamia. So if you are getting a seal of 1,000, because there it is dated, 1,500 BC is dated, and the same thing you are getting it here, then that means it is, the Dwaraka could be, it is from Dwaraka, it would be roughly around 1,300 BC. As you know, that the Mohenjo-daro seals and the Harappan seals also, when the same thing you got it from Kish, from Mesopotamian sites, and that too at the level of 2,400, 2,500 BC, we could infer that our culture also goes back to the same period from 600 BC, that is, we are going back to 2,400, 2,500 BC, the Eureka moment. Not only that, we had trade relation with them. So that was also established. Next, please. So this is about this one, Dwaraka excavation. They could get many things associated with the bastion of this one, of Dwaraka. Next, please. And then the wall of Dwaraka. But what you have to do is, you will have to do for this explorations and excavation, you have to spend huge money for all those things. This is not enough to prove that there was a huge capital there, but you will have to do further explorations and excavation. Next, please. Underwater archaeology, you will have to do it at this one, at a large level. So this is, this one, this is the first terracotta where you have that Rama is written there. Where the arrow is there, there it is, Rama is written there. In Brahmi script, it is written there. Next, please. So there is, a number of this one. sculptures were excavated like this one. This is not, of course, from Ayodhya. Next, please. But related to Rama's story. This is abduction of this one Sita by Ravan. So you can see she has been carried away by Ravana. This is another sculpture. And when she was this one kidnapped by him, she just throws his ring, this one bangle down below, so that it can guide Rama when he comes and searches for her. So I often say that this way, Sita ji helped archaeologists, because this is the first kind of tool which she has provided. Where to go, which side should Rama should search for her. So that is why she has just threw her bangles or her ornament, whatever you call it. So you can see it right in front of her also, and it will be in between the legs of Ravana also. So that way we can call her as the first archaeologist. Next, please. So this, of course, Rama giving the abhignam to this one Hanuman, so that Sita can be sure that he has come from Rama, because Rama had given the responsibility to Hanumanji. This, of course, later this one. Next, please. So when he excavated this Ramayana sites, next, please. So this is our excavation team. Professor B.B. Lal is in the center, and his wife, that is on the right side. Professor Soundarajan, he is on the left side. I was a young student at that time. I am sitting down below in the middle. So this was the excavation team from Archaeological Survey of India, and on the right side of Professor Lal, in the photo it should be on the left side. This one, Professor, his wife is there, and just by the side of it, we have Jayashree. She was our classmate, and she is the wife of Jairam Ramesh. Jairam Ramesh, of course, is the spokesperson of the Congress Party and a very articulate person, very well knowledgeable person. So this our excavation team. So when the issue became a very important thing, I gave a statement in 1990. I was at that time, in this one Madras. The issue was, hotly being discussed. Communist historians will say that Professor B.B. Lal, they came up that Professor B.B. Lal had excavated the entire place, and he did not get anything associated with this one, Hindu sculptures below the mosque. So that was the suo moto statement given by them, because they had a lot of press connection. Archaeologists normally they don't go to the press, but historians they had a lot of press connections also, and that was the trend also at that time. Speak anything against Hinduism, so you will be a very important person. So they gave a statement. They did not visit the site. None of them were archaeologists. They did not visit the site during the excavation. They had not seen the trenches also. And afterwards also they did not visit the site, but they gave a statement to the press. And this was widely carried by this one, the press. So the whole issue became questionable now. The issue of Ayodhya became very questionable now. The historical, they say that there is no archaeological proof. Normally, archaeologists, they do not come out into the press because, they are government servants. But Professor Lal had no other way. So he had to come out. And he came out and he said, no, we have excavated the whole Ayodhya, and we have got a number of things associated with the temples. So the earlier group, that is communist group, they had said, since he has not got anything, he did not receive anything, he did not get anything associated with the Hindu temple, there is no question of giving back Ayodhya. to Hindu. They had passed the final judgment also. But Professor Bibilal, he did not make any judgment. He said, no, this is the thing that we have excavated thing, and we have got a number of things associated with the temple below the mosque. I was a government servant at that time. I was a deputy superintending archaeologist. I was working in Madras. So, I mean, as a government servant, you cannot speak anything. And especially on such a sensitive issue, you cannot speak anything. But this was a very important issue also. So I gave a statement, knowing fully well, because my probation period was not over. If your probation period is not over, and if you are making such a sensitive statement, you could be dismissed from the service. There is no need of suspending you. Even without that, you could be dismissed from the service. So I gave a statement to Indian Express at that time on 15th of January, on 15th of December, 1990. I said, whatever the statement the communist historians of JNU and Delhi University, Aligarh University, they done is, it is factually wrong. I was the only Muslim who had participated in the excavation team of Professor Bibilal. I have seen those pillars also, the pillar bases also, and the terracottas also. And we have got a number of things associated with temple with the below the mosque. So that was a factual statement. And the second thing I said, that this is Ayodhya is as important for Hindus as Makkah and Medina are for Muslims. So Muslims should willingly hand over the site for Hindu community for constructing a huge temple. So that was the statement. One part was a factual statement. And the second one was, that was of course, it had a wider connotation because it was for the betterment of the country. The communist historian who had wide connection with the press, for the first time, it was a strong punch on their face. It was a very strong punch on their face. They had no reply at all. I thought, they would be coming out with this one. I mean, with cock and bull stories, but they had no, because it was spoken by a person who had participated in the excavation. And he was the only Muslim person who had participated in that excavation. It comes out from his mouth. So it was a punch on their mouth. They had no reply at all. And for the first time, they were cornered also. And then while the excavation, this went on for a long time. They tried for my suspension, my dismissal also from the service. Because, it was at that time, it was earlier Chandrasekhar. When I made the statement, it was Chandrasekhar's government. And then it was Narasimha Rao's government. They thought, they would be able to manage this thing. But both of them, both Chandrasekhar ji and Narasimha Rao, they wanted to solve the problem in an amicable way. But these people, it was against the conduct rule of a government servant. How did he make such a statement? So all these things, they tried a law, this one, everything, this one was possible. But somehow, it did not work at all. So at that time, I was working in Madras. Next, please. So at that time, working in Madras, so there was a conference. The secretary, that was R.C. Tripathi. So he happened to meet me, and he was impressed by the kind of work I was doing in Madras. But then at the fag end of it, he said, Muhammad, how did you make such a statement? You are a government servant. You should not have given a statement like that one. We all knew the factual things, but we did not give any statement. Why did you make such a statement? So I told him, sir, I was the only Muslim. So a Muslim had to speak this thing, what we have excavated there. And I had no bad intention. My intention was only the rightful intention, because it was for the welfare of the country. And then I just quoted from Bhagavad Gita, Loga Samgrahame Vapi Sambhashyan Kartumarhasi. So whatever you do it for the betterment of the people. So he became angry, and he said, I am a Brahmin from Allahabad and you are teaching me now Sanskrit. Our Director General of Archaeological Survey of India, Dr. M.C. Joshi, was also by his side, and he was also angry with me. Now, how did you make such a statement? You should not have. I am going to suspend you right now. Then I quoted one more, sir, whatever action you want, you can take against me. But whatever I have said is a factual statement. So dharme, then again I quoted, so dharme nidanam shaya. And for this one, I had done my duty, and for that one, even death is also welcome. So now both Dr. Joshi and Dr. R.C. Tripathi, they were completely different person. They said, well, Mr. Muhammad, you have done the right thing. It should have been spoken by an archaeologist. You are an archaeologist. And it should have been spoken by a Muslim archaeologist, and Muslim, you are a Muslim archaeologist. But I am under pressure to take action against you. So I said, sir, whatever action you want, you can take it. But now condition is very pathetic because my probation period was not over. And if probation period is not over, you could be dismissed right away from the service without even serving you a shock post notice. But then many other people also, they had a soft corner for me. But although their official duty was something else, and some of the professors, Professor K.V. Raman, and the most important person was Airavadam Mahadevan. He was there. They all intervened in my case, and I was not dismissed from the service, but I was transferred from this place. That is, I was working at that time in Madras. From Madras, I was transferred to Goa. So that's all. They did not take any hard action against me. And while the issue was being debated in the this one, this one issue was contested in the Honorable Supreme Court. That is almost in the year 2019. I knew the working of these communist people like Irfan Abi, because earlier I had a running battle against them. While I was a student also, I had a running battle against Professor Irfan Abi because I had made certain very important discoveries in Fatehpur Sikri. So that was the discovery of the great Ibadat Khana, where Akbar had invited people from all the religion, Hindu, Muslim, Christians, and then he evolved that religion known as Deen-e Ilahi. So that I had discovered. So I had a running battle with them. And at that time, RSS and BJP were also with Irfan Habib at that time. I'm talking about 81, 82. So this, I gave a statement. I knew their working, their methodology also. So I knew because since the question was being debated and discussed and evaluated in this one Supreme Court, they will come with a statement just in front of the Honorable Supreme Court. But before they could do anything, I outsmarted them and I gave a statement that there is no doubt that a temple dedicated to Lord Vishnu existed below the Babri Masjid. It is not the earlier statement. The earlier statement was in 1990. This is in 2019, while the issue was being, day-to-day hearing was going on in the Honorable Supreme Court. So this again completely shattered them because they wanted to do it, but before they could do anything, I had given a statement like this one. And then I said that excavation was not only carried out by Dr. Mani, because the second excavation was carried out under Dr. B.R. Mani, and the first excavation was under Professor B.B. Lal. They said that it cannot be accepted because ASI has manipulated every data and all those things they gave in their statement. But I said manipulation is not possible because the excavation was jointly. This one Dr. B.R. Mani was ably assisted by 4 Muslim archaeologists, and then I quoted their names also. So one was the name of one person was Dr. Atikur Rahman Siddiqui. He retired as a superintending archaeologist of Agra Circle, a very major circle. And then Dr. Khwaja was there. He was the director of Persian and epigraphy. I quoted his name because they did not know all these things. These people were associated. And then Dr. Hashmi, I quoted the name of Dr. Hashmi. Then I quoted Dr. Zulfikar Ali. Dr. Zulfikar Ali. All these important persons were there in the excavation. It was in their presence all these temples were excavated. So that again, it was a kind of sharp rap on the knuckle of this group of people. Now, because they had no way, but they wanted to stay. KK Muhammed was not there in the excavation under Professor B.B. Lal. Whatever he says is a tissue of blatant lies and all those things. They had some people in the Times of India, even at that time, even in as late as 2019 also. So they came with another statement against me. Next, please. Here you can see again, KK Muhammad was never part of BB Lal's Ayodhya excavation team. AMU professor Nadeem Rizvi is there. He's not an excavator. And he doesn't know anything about archaeology and other things, but he will claim himself as this Nadeem Rizvi. He's this man of Irfan Habib, and they would say that we have done this thing, we have done that thing without knowing anything about the subject. So he came with a statement. Of course, then it was supported by some other people of Delhi University also. So Professor Lal was not in India at that time. He was in USA. I immediately contacted him. And from there, he gave a statement, no, KK Muhammad was very much with me, and he sent the photographs also along with that one. So with that, these people were once more completely exposed. And again, they had no other reply at all. Next, please. So here you can see KK Muhammad was with me during the excavation at Aitihya. It was by Professor B.P. Lal. Again, they were exposed because they could go to any extent. Irfan Habib and the whole group, they could go to any extent. And these are a group of people like that one. They don't want to have any kind of this one. Archaeological evidences for that one. Next, please. So as we know, next, please. So this is that before excavation. So this is that the temple pillars you can see down below. Next, please. So you can see the Purna Kalasha also. And the Hindus were, earlier also the Hindu community was going and worshipping there at many places. Next, please. This is that this one Purna Kalasha. And if you have any doubt, just go to this one Qutub Minar area. There by the side of Qutub Minar, there is a mosque known as Quwwatul Islam Mosque. There you can see many this one temple parts. How temple parts have been used, temple pillars have been used, temple structures have been used for this one mosque. That is known. The name of the mosque is Quwwatul Islam Mosque. Next, please. It is from Quwwatul Islam Mosque. You will have not only the Purna Kalasha, the Kirtimuga of Lord Shiva also. Next, please. Next. The temple bells are there. Next, please. Next. You can see the sculptures, how they have been, this one, parts have been cut down. This is the Bharavahaga. Next, please. The flying, this one, supporters. Next, Ganas, flying Ganas. Many of the deities. Next, please. Next. This is the this one, ceiling part. In most of the temples, you had this kind of ceiling. Next, please. Here you have got gods and goddesses. Next, please. Next, Apsaras, flying Gandharvas. Next. 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 Ganesha, Ekatantam Chadurbahu, Gajavaktram Mahodaram, Siddhi Buddhi Samayuktam. Next, please. Next. Few number of sculptures you can see like this one. Next. 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 And sometimes, because, I was in charge of, when in Delhi, I had a lot of this one, agitations were there against me because some of the people, they wanted to use the mosque. So I said that if there was no worship under this one, while the monument had taken up by ASI, you cannot have a new namaz. So it is the same rule, whether it is a Hindu temple, whether it is a mosque. So sometimes, we have to fight with the Muslim groups also, sometimes with some of the Hindu groups also. I had a fight with some Christian groups also while I was in Goa. Next, please. Next. Next. And but they continued to persist, but then I had to deploy police. So this is, you all know Dr. B.R. Mani, a great archaeologist. So it was he who had conducted the second excavation in 2003 onwards, when the Supreme Court, when the Allahabad High Court gave the direction. Next, please. So we had got only 12 pillars at that time, but he got more temple pillar bases. More than this one, 90 pillar bases were excavated like this one. That means it was a huge temple earlier. Next, please. You can see the this one excavated trenches. Next. The bases on which the pillars were standing. Next. This is a diagram in which, with this one trenches, we have got the pillars. Next, please. An apsidal temple. Next, please. You are getting a number of pieces of Sunga. You are an archaeologist, so you can date it. A number of lady figures. Again, lady figure. This is from Gupta period. Next, please. Again, from the Gupta period, human figure. Had it been a mosque, you would never have got this kind of human figures. Next, please. It's a lady drum. Again, can you ever think of having a lady drummer from a mosque? Next, please. In here with this one, animal figures. Next, please. Dog. You can never think of having a dog from a Muslim mosque. Next, please. Next. Next. Snake. Snake. No, iske pehle wala. So here you have got that Amalka. Amalka is a typical feature of the Hindu temple. Next, please. On the top of it, you can see the temples like this one. You can see Amalka. Next, please. Next. Here also you can, just to show you, what is Amalka. Next, please. It is not for you because you know it. Again, Purna Kalasha. It is, for the general public sometimes if I give a lecture. Next, please. Again, when the excavation, when the later on, after the court judgment, when the area was leveled up, a number of more pillars were excavated. Next, please. All temple pillars, parts, not pillars, parts. Next, please. And another most important was this one, Pranala. Here you can see in every temple, you have to do the Abhisheka, and the Abhisheka Jala goes through the Pranala. It would always be towards the north side, because wherever the river is taking a turn towards the north, Gangotri, Yamunotri, Haridwar, Lakshman Jula, Prayag, all these places would be important for us. That is known as Uttaravahini. So that the Pranala, you cannot have it in a house. You cannot have it in a bazaar. You have to have it in a temple only. That Pranala was excavated. It is an adjunct part of this one, the Vigraha. Next, please. Here you can see how Pranala is being used. It is just to show you, it is not from the excavation. Next, please. Next. 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 And this is the most important clinching evidence which came not from the excavation, but when the mosque was destroyed. Of course, we are again destroying a historical structure, but that happened. So Vishnu Hari Shila Falaga, which very clearly says that this temple is dedicated to that Mahavishnu, who this one who killed Bali. So who killed Bali? That we all know that it is Rama, and who killed the 10-headed person. Who is that? That is again Lord Ram. So this was also, it was a very clinching evidence from the site. Next, please. This is this one. It has got 20 lines, and they tried to prove earlier. They had said, that the mosque was built on a land, virgin land, below which there was nothing. But when all these evidences started coming out, they said, no, these whatever evidences are coming, these evidences are all fake evidences. This has been brought from other places. So that was the argument of a communist group. Next, please. This is another inscription. It is an earlier inscription. Next, please. And then there were a lot of evidences which was presented by the to the Honorable Supreme Court by a group of research people, in which we have got a number of evidences. All those evidences were also cited because in Akbar Nama itself, there is a reference about Ayodhya and the worship of Rama. Then that was in 1602. And then in 1611, William Finch had come to India. He was an English person. He had given the description. Then Delit, he was this one Dutch person who had come to Ayodhya, and he speaks about Ayodhya and the Ram worship which was going on. Then after him, Thompson came. He was in 1634. That was the period of this one. Shah Jahan, he gives a description, and then there were a number of descriptions by all these people. So next, please. So this was all. This is by Delit. He was in 1631. That is the period of Shah Jahan. He was a Dutch. Next, please. And then Thomas Herbert. It was in 1634. Again, the period of Shah Jahan. He speaks about the Ayodhya and the temple also. Next, please. And this is Joseph Stephen Taylor. He was a Portuguese. He was an Austrian father, the Christian father. He came in 1766. He gives a description, and he speaks about the pillars also. Next, please. So this is French scholar Mandelet's book in 1801. Next, please. Then the complaints of this one, the group of mosque group, they also accept it. They say Sayyid the Masjid Janam Sthan. Why do they use the Janam Sthan? So that evidence was also used. Next, please. Then Carnegie's evidence, a number of evidences. Next, please. And some of this is again Ayodhya Sanad. Next, please. This is again another this one, which also speaks about the Masjid Janam Sthan. Next, please. It is in Persian. Again, the first Mughal Sanad of Hanumangadi, because it was given by Akbar the Great in 1600 to Hanumangadi temple. That was used. Next, please. And Akbar's, because Akbar had come out with a Ram Siya koan also. And in Fatehpur Sikri also, there is a sculpture of Lord Ram and Sita and Hanumanji also. It was on the basis of this archaeological evidences and the literary evidences, the Honorable Supreme Court had finally come to the conclusion, that there was this one temple below the mosque, and the problem should be amicably settled. Muslims had a claim only for 2.77 acres of area. So the area was, first of all, it was on the basis of these evidences, archaeological and literary evidences, the site was given to Hindu community. And in order to compensate the Muslim community, 5 acres of land just double of 2.77 that was given to Muslim community also. And finally, the Honorable Supreme Court gave a very balanced judgment on the basis of which a case which was hanging for the last 500 years that has been finally settled with the help of the Archaeological Survey of India, archaeologists, and also other literary evidences. And we have two more very important issues. One is, of course, this one, Mathura issue is there. That is the Janmastan of Lord Krishna. And we have got the case of Gyan Vapi. As a student of archaeology and also otherwise a history student, I am firmly of the opinion these are three important places that should be handed over by the Muslim community for the Hindu community. And the Hindus, they should not come out with a very big list, because there are certain things that have happened in Indian history. We cannot deny all those things. When Muslims came to India, they have, of course, killed a number of people. They have this one, dismantled temples. These are historical facts. Don't try to defend all those things. But whatever had happened, you cannot undo now all of them. You cannot go behind Sambal Mosque also. You cannot go behind this one Ajmer Mosque also. Now, extreme Hindu groups also have come up, with a list of so many things. So it is a great country. It's a great civilization. We have to solve some of the problem. For that, Muslims should be willing to hand over these three places. One is already done, and two more places, that is Mathura and also Gyanvapi. And the Hindus should stop there. They should not come out with all those, this one big list. And they should not come with non-archaeological evidence like Taj Mahal was this one Hindu temple, or this one Qutub Minar was a Hindu temple. I admit that Qubbat Islam was, of course, a Hindu temple group, but not Qubbat Islam, not in the Qutub Minar. Similarly, I know Taj Mahal like anything because I was in charge of Taj Mahal. And coming with those kinds of, there was no arch at that time. While in 11th century, they say it was in 11th century temple. There was no arch at that time. There was no dome at that time. Even after the Muslims came to India, also the double dome system was not there up to 1525. In Mughal period only the double dome came. So archaeologically, architecturally, whatever these extreme Hindus are arguing, that is also wrong. So we have to be reasonable. We should not exaggerate things. We should find out some of the solution for from which the country is a solution for the country. So my humble this one submission is that you are all students of history and archaeology. You should be reasonable. Beyond reason, we should not go, and we should not say that we had this Pushpak Vimana, we knew this surgery and surgery. A lot of claims are now being made by the extremist Hindu groups also. So we have to be reasonable. We have to behave like archaeologists. And let us all strive to make a stronger India. Thank you all. Thank you very much. I'm not going into the second part, that is, because it's already now 7:41. And Bhatteshwar, at some other time, we'll take up that issue and we'll discuss it on some other occasion. So thank you all. Thank you very much for giving a very patient hearing.
Thank you so much, sir. It was wonderful having you on board today. But we all are eager to hear from you about Bhatteshwar as well. So probably we'll plan a future talk on Bhatteshwar, specifically Bhatteshwar.
Surely.
So can we just move forward to the question answers?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So there's Chandrasekhar Zadhav from Mumbai. He has asked a question. How did your team determine that the structures under Babri Masjid was specifically a Ram temple rather than just non-Islamic structure?
It is yes. No, this is inscription is there. This temple is dedicated to that Mahavishnu who has killed Bali. So who has killed Bali? And who has killed again? 10-headed person. So that is a very critical evidence for us. It was on the basis of that it was a Rama temple. It was a Vishnu temple. It was a Rama temple, not any other structure.
Right. There's another question asked by Aditya Siddha from Kashmir.
Oh.
He has asked, how did you distinguish between reality and your own religious beliefs? Because nowadays a lot of people blindly and emotionally follow their religious community without seeing the reality. So how did
Yes.
you deal with such people while serving the Ram Mandir?
You have to have wide reading because you are a Hindu or you are a Muslim or you are a Christian just by the accident of fate.
Right.
If we had an option, we would not have, we would not have liked to be born in India or in some other developing countries. We would have preferred, of course, America.
Right.
So, or in Switzerland. But this is an accident of fate. I mean, all religions are either equally right or equally wrong.
Absolutely.
It all depends upon you, how you this one understand things. So we had to be large-minded. We should be accommodative. And fortunately, Hinduism is a religion which, whether you believe in God or don't believe, it has no problem. Whether you go to temples or you don't go to the temple. But and Hinduism does not say that you only I am right, all others are wrong. And the Semitic religion has that problem. They say that only they are right, all others are wrong. That is why they try for conversion. But
Right.
at the same time, we should try to understand we had our own drawbacks also. And one
Right.
was the caste system. That was the biggest drawback. And when I speak about this caste system, some of the extreme Hindus, they will try to defend, no, it is not that kind of caste system. It is, this one, I mean, caste system was not that horrible. It was all exaggerated by the British people. It's not like that. We had our own drawbacks. We did not cross Hindu Kush. We did not cross this one, I mean, beyond our with the oceans. Of course, it was when Buddhism came, they crossed in southern India also, they crossed the oceans. So we had our own defects also. We should be ready to understand our own defects also. So have a large-minded this one personality. Try to be accommodative, and the Hinduism that way is very this one. I feel that it is able to adjust. It is an inclusive religion. If you think it is a religion, if you don't think it's a religion, it's all right. But you have got the liberty there.
Absolutely. There's Yash Bhavsar from Pune. He has asked, what role does the Indian architecture play in illuminating human consciousness and ensure collective endeavors towards sustainable human evolution in all aspects of its national and global progress in light of multifaceted Bharatiya polytheism and Sanatan tradition?
See, Sanatan tradition is, as I said, it is inclusive of everything. It adjusts, it accommodates everything. As I said, because all the communities who had come to India, I mean, right from Persians, then Greeks came, then Huns came, the Sagas came, and all of them were absorbed in Indian traditions. So that Sanatana Dharma is, a very good way of life for the whole community. But sometimes, I mean, in the name of Sanatana Dharma, some of the extremist groups are also working. I mean, they are propagating in a number of fake things also and deep fake things also. Now, that is what I am feeling it. Your name will be misused by many of these people.
Right.
My names are being misused because I know my names are being used or misused by some of these people.
Right.
So it happens, but at the same time, the real Sanatana Dharma is inclusive of everything. We can be proud of that one. And ultimately, the world will come into that order. It may not be Sanatana, the name may not be Sanatana, but this one, the philosophy of Swami Vivekananda, it is something, I mean, which is, accepts everything and accepts all religion.
Absolutely, sir. There's Asif Khan from IIT Dhanbad, Jharkhand, who has put a wonderful question forward. How do you interpret the concept of dharma in the context of archaeological conservation and cultural heritage management?
How to, the concept of
Concept of dharma,
dharma?
yes, in the context of archaeological conservation and cultural heritage management?
I don't know how to answer that question. This is a very typical question. Dharma and archaeological conservation. I think you may take up this question when I take up that other one. That is
Okay.
Bateshwar. Yeah. There you will be having a number of questions like this one.
Sure, sir. Sure. One last question. Anushri Deshpande from Pune has asked, what factors contribute to the existence of multiple well-supported perspectives in Indian historical narratives, and how should we approach? Pardon, sir?
One more time. Sure.
What factors contribute to the existence of multiple well-supported perspectives?
I think we can stop now because some people are coming.
Sure, sir. No issue. I'll just ask Snehal to quickly give a vote of thanks and we end.
There is no need of vote of thanks. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate your efforts, and it's one of the biggest this one you have taken up. So thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
I would also like to thank everyone who was present here to be a part of the first edition of our Aitihya Talks, and we look forward to this association further. We apologize for the time constraint that took place today, but we look forward to another interesting talk from Padma Shri K.K. Muhammed sir very soon on Bateshwar Temple Complex. Thank you all for joining in. Good night.